Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to season two, episode 6 of Sipping Tea with Stacy T. I am Stacy. Trying a little red situation today. We'll see how I feel about it, but hopefully you are all doing well. It is a snowy Saturday. Going to be a short sipping tea, but I want to stay dedicated every single week since I've started. We have done this, and so we're here yet again. Today, again, this is Sipping Tea with Stacy T, so we have to have the tea, right? So today's tea is this one. I've never had peppermint tea, believe it or not, right? So this is going to be a venture for me. I like peppermint in general, but I'm really curious to see if I like peppermint tea. So we're going to try this out. And this is True Honey's peppermint. Just a little bit about it on the back. It says it has honey granules, a little bit of cane sugar, and peppermint, organic peppermint. So this is also caffeine free. So we're going to give it a shot. I'm going to open this one up. And I'm curious because all the other ones from this same brand, as soon as you open them, like I just literally opened this top piece and immediately the smell of the peppermint is no joke. It is like kind of smacking me in the face. So, you know, I can't get the thing open. My goodness. Okay, so when I opened it, like literally, I feel like, you know how you have, if you've ever had like those white peppermints and then there's like the dust of them? That's what just came out to greet me. So this is the tea bag. You guys have seen these before. Again, this is a frame of reference for how big they are. One of the things that's interesting is when I was reading this today, peppermint indeed. So when I was opening this today, it says traditional tea bags have never been strong enough, so we double the amount of tea in our tea bag. So I had mentioned something about the fact that they look really big, like the tea bags in general. So, that may be why. So this is interesting, y'all. Remember how I said that dust that I was talking about? Like the outside of the container feels chalky. So I don't know how I feel about that. Like literally, it's like let me see. I don't know if y'all probably can't see that, but there's literally I feel like peppermint dust. So I put that in there. It is really strong. Like I don't know if you've ever had like menthol like ointment or something like that. It smells that strong, y'all. So I'm just going to let that steep, and just like all the other ones, it said for 6 to 10 minutes. So just gonna add that. So again, I think the last one that I tried, which was the chamomile one, I believe, that one was like really clear. This one, when I just put the hot water in, looks a little brown, but also maybe it's just my imagination, y'all. It looks a little green. So y'all, I don't know. We're gonna see. Right? We're going to try new things sometimes. I'm just gonna put a little bit more hot water in there so that the entire bag is submerged, which it was not yet. Hopefully everybody's having a good weekend. I know this is a abnormal time. Y'all, I just have to sometimes go with the flow. My intention is to do it at 1, but sometimes you have things that kind of throw your schedule off, and today was one of those days. It's snowing, had some errands that we had to get done, so I'm here. I'm here. Y'all, I think I actually like this red. I was a little nervous. It looks, I like it. I like it right now. we will see. We will see. And today, y'all, if you've been here, you know how your girl feels about this, which is why it's daggone near empty. My creamed honey has made a return. And the reason for that, for this one in particular, is the creamed honey one makes me happy. I'm just going to be honest with you, right? But also, I feel like it has a good amount of, like, it tastes sweeter to me than a couple of the other ones. So we'll try it out. We'll see what's going on. Funny enough, I looked down and it is getting darker. The tea bag. The other thing that was interesting is on there, on the actual bag, that yellow bag that I just took it out of the sack, it also says that you can really steep these teas for a long time. And they said whatever it is that they do, they don't get bitter. So not that I'm going to necessarily try this out, especially with this type of tea, but I think that that's good to know. That is good to know. especially for those of you who like your tea like really dark. You like the really as much flavor as you can get out of your tea bag. So that's something to think about. But hopefully, again, everybody's been having a good weekend. I'm really excited this weekend for two reasons. One, because my Patriots are playing in the Super Bowl, y'all. My Patriots are playing in the Super Bowl. So if you didn't know, now you know. Big Patriots fan, big football fan. I'm going to tell you, I've been feeling a little type of way about them the last couple of years, but that's an aside. That's an aside. They're in the big game, in the big game. But more importantly, tomorrow is one of the best days of the year because my little sissy was born on February the 8th. So very excited about another year of God blessing her in a new and good way. You got to be specific, y'all. You got to be, you just can't say in a new way, a new good way, right? All the blessings of good health and prosperity and new fun adventures. Y'all see how specific I'm being? But I really am. I'm like, it's amazing to see somebody grow into the person that they are. And she's very compassionate. And I'm not going to get emotional. So I'm just going to stop talking about her. So in any event, I wish her the happiest of well, she's on here. So happy birthday, Cheryl. I wish you all the best. Early. I'll be saying that tomorrow too. So, but you get one day. You get one day. I know I try to make mine a national holiday for like the whole month, but in any event, excited because got some sweet treats, so we'll be enjoying that as well. But today, what am I going to be talking about today? And I will tell y'all that this has been this particular, I would say, past couple of weeks, and I mentioned this last week. This past couple of weeks has been interesting. It's been interesting because I feel like ever since I, and this is the thing, right? When you say things, obviously the devil hears and God hears things. And then people that are listening to what you're saying hear what you're saying as well. But just knowing that I've said, God, I don't like this situation sometimes that I'm in. I don't know the situation. I don't understand it, but I trust you, right? When you say these things, he's gonna be like, okay, let's go then. Let's see how this whole trust situation works out, right? So just be mindful of, and that was not something I just came out of nowhere. This was me like talking to God about what's been going on in my life and where I'm at in my life, and him being like, okay, do you trust me or no? Like, which one is it? And so this is the season. I feel like a lot of people, though it's something that I particularly have taken on as my saying for the year. I feel like I'm not alone in being in a season where it is confusing, where it feels like you're trying to do the things and nothing that you're doing is really catching on in the way that you thought it would, or you are, trying to make changes and the changes are harder than you thought they might be, and relationships are complicated, like all the things, right? All the things. And so for me, that's the space that I'm in, but I'm also in the space that I'm like, okay, God, I've tried to do the things by myself. I've tried to like just push through, because that's what you learn. Just push through, pray until something happens, right? That's what people say, pray until something happens. So y'all, people have been doing that. And sometimes you're doing that and still it feels like, okay, I'm doing that, God, but what else? Do I need to do something else too? Because it don't seem like there's a lot of, movement in that area. But that's where the faith comes in. That's where the do you trust me part comes in. And so that's kind of where I find myself right now. So what I will say is, if you also are feeling that way, if you're also in a space where you're believing God for something, you're sitting in a space of waiting on God to deliver what he said he's going to do, right? If he said he's not a man that he should lie, then, we're able to hold him true to his word. And so when you're trying to sit in a space of holding him true to his word, you still got to wait. You still got to wait. And that don't always feel good. At least it doesn't to me. Maybe it feels fine to all y'all, but I'm just talking about me, right? So that's one thing. The other thing is, this kind of look back, this reflection. Y'all, next week is going to be a full year of sipping tea with Stacey T. It's a year anniversary, which blows my mind. It blows my mind that it's been that long and that quick, if that makes sense. I had to look back on it and I was like, wow, I can't believe that I finally started it, first of all, because the idea I had for 2 years prior to me even doing anything with it, or maybe even three, it might have even been 3 years prior to me doing it. And then I finally was like, okay, I'm going to do it. And again, there were reasons why I was like, there's no reason for me not to do it at that point, because again, I was unemployed, had just disconnected actually from my job like a week or two prior to me starting it. And at the time, I was with someone who was like, yeah, you should do it, I think that it's the perfect time, blah 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 blah, right? Little did I know that there was really going to be a need for me to have started the whole process. But I'm grateful. We'll talk a little bit more about that, and I'll do a little bit of a rundown of some of the things and the guests and the topics and all the things that we've done so far. It'll also will be next Saturday will be Valentine's Day. So we'll talk a little bit about love next week. That'll be our subject. So you'll know ahead of time. That's kind of going to be what we discuss. But this week, what I want to talk about was how we show up as Jekyll and Hyde. And I said we because we all have this ability to be different people in different situations, to mask ourselves when we find it necessary, or when we don't feel comfortable, or when we're afraid. There's lots of reasons that people will do it, but the reality of it is we all have this, and it's up to us to recognize it when we're exhibiting it, see it in others. And the reason why we want to see it in others is because there's sometimes, at all my episodes, right, is, and when we're talking about extending grace, it comes from a point of being able to identify a need to show up with grace, right? And oftentimes that need starts with us. So what I will say is this, right? This potential idea of Jekyll and Hyde, when you think about like how that came to be, it's like, one is good and the other one's evil, which we found that was really not the case, right? But the reality, what it really stems from, is a lot of us have a lot of things going on, and from the earliest ages, we learn that in different environments we have to show up as different people, not because we are fundamentally different, but because some environments require us to, show up as more confident. Some environments require us to show up as more observant. Some environments require us to speak out when we see injustice. Some environments require us, they require us to literally, sit in a space of, just literally just observing, just paying attention. The biggest thing that I will say about how people show up is oftentimes it's impacted by things that they've already lived, right? So often if you see somebody who has, if somebody, for example, you go up to them and they're sitting there calmly and you start speaking really loudly, then their reaction may be whatever has, it might be jumping, it might be looking up at you, it might be doing whatever, it may be running away, right? It could be any manner of reaction, and it's based on something that they've been through. Now, are we able to fully control how other people react to who we are? No. Just like we can't control them and how they react to what we may do. The fact of the matter is, and I've said this before, a lot of your healing journey is about you, and it is about how you show up, and it is about accountability for you, and recognizing that there are times that people are not in a space to even fully understand why they are showing up the way that they do. But are you in a space that you understand why you show up entirely, why you do? So a lot of masking happens, and I will say, from the age of me being little to the age that I am now, there have been different type of masks that I have worn, some of which I felt like I was forced to wear, some of which I adopted out of a sense of trying to protect myself because I felt like people really didn't want who Stacy was, right? And then also feeling like, and again, there are some environments that told me that as I was not good enough. I was not accepted. I was not wanted in those particular situations. So how I showed up really changed based on that. But let's go into the why, because oftentimes people respond in situations to the actual act, right? The actual thing that happens, whether it's somebody getting upset, whether it is somebody crying, whether it is somebody running away, whether it's somebody shutting down. People respond to that, to the outcome, right? To the potential impact, but they're not really seeking to understand the why, right? Why is that person shutting down? Why is that person reacting? Why are they crying? Why is it that they're running away? And there's a whole host of reasons. I can't sit here and try to, list all the reasons why people may show up the way that they do. But the understanding does need to come that your somebody's reaction to you and your reaction to someone else can stem from the same place or two entirely separate situations. Y'all, I'm just going to take a quick pause because this tea's starting to get real dark. Okay, I'm really smelling peppermint, so I'm going to add the honey. Y'all, I'm just going to tell you. On this one, I'm a little afraid because I don't know. I don't know. I know a lot of people swear by it. Like they're like, "Oh my gosh, peppermint tea is the best ever." I'm like, okay. So we'll see. We will see. I was surprised by the chamomile tea, which I found out again after I probably should not have had. But it's called the slumber tea. It wasn't called chamomile tea. But it did make me tired. So I will say that the job that it said that it does, which is like relaxing you or whatever, it did that. I found myself sleepy earlier than usual. So that was good. I was like, okay, it does its job. I'm not going to, and the flavor was very good. I was not expecting that. I thought I was not going to like the taste of it. This one, I'm also not expecting to like the taste of it. I'm just going to be honest. I'm not expecting to like the taste of it. I'm a little afraid, y'all. Let's try it out. And it is super peppermint, like super, super, super. Let me test it. Y'all, I was worried for nothing. That's really good. Y'all, that is really good. So, I mean, I like peppermint, but who thinks about drink? I mean, maybe y'all do. Maybe that's just a me thing. But I never thought I'd be like, ooh, let me drink some peppermint, right? But it's actually really good. I probably should have tried it before I put the honey in it because I have now no frame of reference for what it tastes like on its own. But it's very strong. Like it literally tastes like I sucked on one of those peppermint hard candies. Not the green ones, the red ones, like the traditional red ones. I think the green ones are like wintergreen, or this is very much a peppermint candy without like a candy cane. Okay, it's good. I don't know what it's supposed to do. Like, I don't know if it's supposed to be for sleep or relaxation. I'm not quite sure, but it tastes good. That I'll tell you. If you don't like peppermint, you're gonna detest it because it's very candy cane. Like I just sucked on a candy cane. It's very much that. So I wouldn't even bother. But if you like peppermint in general, you're gonna really enjoy it. It's good. Nice liquidy warm peppermint. And I know people that like put peppermint in their hot chocolate too. I'm not a person that does that type of thing. I may have done it before or had it before when I was like, what is this? Peppermint and I don't know I don't know. People eat peppermint bark. I know. But I really do like this. This is good. So this is a thumbs up for me. Again, for those of you who may be looking at this later, True Honey Tea Peppermint. It is a company that really does uses organic things. So you'll see a lot of like the honey, organic peppermint is in here, and they say they add double the amount of the leaves in the tea bag. So try it out. I have liked the teas from this company, so I looked them up online, and they do have more. I'm not going to get any yet because this is a lot of tea so far, so I'll be utilizing those. But good job. They do a really good job with the amount of tea, with the flavor. I haven't had one that tasted bitter. One of them I left the tea bag in for a really long time. But technically, usually I take them right out because bitter tea is not it for me. But this is good. Thumbs up. All right. So let's get back into this whole quick conversation about Jekyll and Hyde. I think it's really challenging. Relationships in general are challenging. And I think the relationship with ourselves is also a relationship that can be very challenging, because oftentimes we don't really take a moment to sit down and reflect on the situations that we find ourselves in that could be very high stress, the situations that are in that maybe make us feel some type of way about ourselves, and where our life is headed, the situations that we might be in where we rub against one another the wrong way, or maybe we feel afraid or we're depressed, because again, a lot of these internal feelings we don't have conversation about. We feel them internally, we manage them internally, we don't talk to anybody about the fact that we're feeling that way. And then you're keeping these things to yourself. But then, and on top of that, what then happens is you're interacting with other people, right? You're not living in a bubble, you're living with other people, you're interacting with other people. You may be going to work, you may be going to school, and you're having, hey Kathy, how you doing? And you're having these interactions with people, and now it's like uncomfortable, or now you're in these situations where now you're arguing, or you're whatever the situation is. The fact of the matter is, you know a lot of the things where there's issue in friendships or relationships or family or whatever, or in the workplace, stems because there are a lot of people that are managing stuff outside of that one relationship. And we, like I said, we react to how that person interacts with us. We're not like thinking, oh, this person just bit my head off, I wonder if they're going through something, right? At least that's not typically something I'm like, oh wow, they just made me feel some type of way, I wonder if they need to talk, right? That's not typically where we go with it. We're like, you don't need to be biting my head off, I didn't do nothing to you, right? That's at least how I've typically thought, right? But I really do try often to like sit back and think to myself, I know that I have things that I'm going through that I've shared with me, right? Me and God. That is literally who I've shared some of these feelings that I've had. This past year has been a year where I have shared a lot, but what I've also recognized in that space was that even though I share a lot, there's still a lot of internal feelings based on what I experienced this past year that I've kept between me and God. I have not shared all the things, and some of the feelings about what it's been like to be out of work, what it's felt like to try to write this book, and sometimes hitting like mental roadblocks, which is not a thing for me. Words are my thing. So not like, how in the world you're writing a book and words is your safe space and you can't think of anything to write. Like that's like a little snapshot of things that I could be telling you all about, but that's the reality, right? And then you feel like, man, I should be able to do this, man, I'm a failure, man, like what is it that I'm doing? All of these things can come flooding to your brain. And then you have, like I said, you interact with other people, and so sometimes you're under this enormous amount of internalized stress, or internalized failure, or internalized whatever it is, right? Maybe you're in a space where you feel useless or depressed or angry or alone, or any of the things that people manage in their daily life. And now you have to interact with someone else that is not aware, or has not been like, hey, how are you doing, right? Because and this is also another thing I've learned. I don't ask everybody how they're doing, because quite frankly, sometimes I don't have the bandwidth to like sustain their answer, right? Because there are some people that are always gonna be like, oh, I'm cool. And maybe they are cool. And then there are some people that are going to tell you every single ailment they've had since the 90s. And then you're like, oh wow. Oh wow. Well, okay, God can heal you. And they're like, but yeah, he healed me from that. But let me tell you what else is going on here. Oh, okay. And you really thought it was going to be like a quick in and out interaction. And now it's a thing. It's a sustained interaction. And there are times that you're good with that and you want that. And you have your own internal bandwidth to manage it. And then there are days that you yourself are managing a whole lot, right? You yourself are sitting in a space where you're like, God, what's going on in my life? God, I'm feeling like my life is going like in a spiral and it's not having direction, and it's not, am I contributing anything? Is anything that I'm doing landing? Is anything that I'm doing, does it matter to anybody? Is it making impact? Do people get what I'm trying to do? Are people like all these things that can come flooding into your brain, right? And in the meanwhile, it often can feel like, and I have 100% felt this. I'm like, man, look at these people like that are doing the same thing that I was doing, and they're like moving and shaking, and I'm like, okay, God, I know this was not my season. Apparently, this is my season to sit in this space, right? So I'm doing that, but God, what's next? Like, what we got going on? And maybe I'm the only one. Maybe I'm the only one who asks those types of questions. But when you're in a situation where people have seen you one way and they have an expectation of you always showing up that way, and you have this internal stuff going on that shades sometimes and really makes it difficult for you to show up, even if you want to show up that way. Because let me just tell you, every day, even if you're quote unquote a good person, whatever that means, is not going to be sunshine and lollipops. There are going to be days where you're down in your spirit. There are going to be days where it's like literally all you can do to lift your head up. There are going to be days where you're just like, okay, and this is me talking about in a healing space. This is like me dedicated being in a healing space. There are days that all I can do is barely lift my head up. And I'm like, okay, God, this is going to be a tough day. So let's get through this, you and me. God, what is it that you want me to do today? God, what is it that you're trying to download into me today? Or sometimes there's like days that I'm literally like, okay, God, I can't do it today. Like, if you want to talk to me, cool, but I'm tired. That's me being transparent and very honest. And I feel like people don't have those conversations. Everybody acts like, even if you're in a space where you're feeling like low, they expect you to be like, okay, let me just tell you, I spoke to God today and he did this and this and this, and cool for you, ma'ams and sirs, but there's not every day's like that for me. I can say that is not every day for me. Do I talk to God every day? Yes, I do. Do I reach out to God and say, God, hey, so your girl's feeling some type of way today? Or, do I attempt to do that in the days that it's even harder for me to do that? Yes. But the point of the matter is, so many of us are having these type of experiences. And I think back to Twitch from the Ellen DeGeneres show, right? He clearly had a lot going on, and he had some mental health things that they, unveiled or whatever after the fact. But the fact remains is that externally, people were like, man, he has it all together. He has money, and he has a wife and beautiful family, and he has a lot of money, and he's famous. And so people are like, wow, look at his life. And internally, he was able to shield that from what was going on internally from a lot of other people. And there's so many people that are dealing with that type of a situation. So what I will say first and foremost is, you're not by yourself if that's kind of what you've been managing, right? The second thing is, as you're healing, as you're in your healing journey, it's going to expose ways that you have hidden yourself from yourself, right? And that's one of the things that I had asked God was, show me. Y'all, sometimes you don't always want to do that. I'm just gonna I'm just gonna tell you that, right? Because sometimes seeing you means seeing the ways that you have hurt people. It's seeing the ways that people have hurt you. It's understanding that you can apologize to you. You could potentially apologize to the other people. They may never apologize to you, but that has to be okay, right? So it's a real big process of like looking at you in the best way for you, and recognizing that your life is and how things happen, the only thing you can control is you. That is it. And sometimes that feels hard, right? Sometimes that feels difficult, but you're not going to control the other person. You're not going to control how they show up. You're not going to control how they treat you. You're not going to control whether or not they give you grace or they don't. The only thing you can do is really look at yourself, and in certain situations, how are you handling them? If you're having a hard time handling them, ask God for help. Ask God to give you some guidance. Ask God to give you the peace in your spirit that may be disturbed that you need. Ask him and you can even ask him, God, I am trying to manage this relationship with my boss at work and it's not going well. I need for your help. I need for you to give me the instructions to download in order to have a conversation where I don't feel like I have to be fake every interaction that I have with this person, right? Because that honestly, that having to mask, that becoming Jekyll and Hyde, like with your friends, you're like this entirely different person, like they're not even recognizable. I'm not saying that you're not going to have two ways you present. Obviously, with your friends, you should be more comfortable, right? That should be the case with, with people that you've known for a long time. You're going to be different than with people you just met 20 minutes ago. Well, most people, some people, some people have no difference whatsoever, but more often than not, the people that you're just meeting are the people you're just meeting. They don't get that internal insight. They don't get the download of, the things that you're afraid of. They don't know what your dreams are. They don't know, some of your past trauma. People that you've known for a long time they may know that. And I think that the thing that becomes challenging over time is recognizing that in the midst of all of these interactions, in the midst of all these relationships and all these opportunities and all these situations, there's only one constant, and you're the constant. So you have to determine, why am I turning into this different person with these group of people? What about these interactions makes me feel unsafe? What about these interactions makes me feel unseen? What about these interactions make me feel uncared for, to the point where I have to literally turn and tweak and change from one way that I show up over here to an entirely different way that I show up over here? And again, I get it. The language you might use with your friends is going to be more relaxed, right? And then if you're going to go give a speech in front of the masses, then you're going to switch it up a little bit. That makes sense. But I'm talking about these fundamental changes in who you are. If you, the people over here were to see you over here, they'd be like, who is that? Right? If that was a thing, then why do we need to change that much? That's where that whole Jekyll and Hyde situation comes in. And often that happens because we are not feeling safe. There's something about the interaction that doesn't make us feel like we can be ourselves. Maybe you've tried it before, and the people before in that same similar situation made you feel deflated. They maybe, minimized or made fun of how you were showing up in those situations. So that could be a very real thing. Absolutely, 100%. Ask yourself why. And then the thing for me, and this was something that I've been managing for the last couple of days. What I will say is, in these situations, recognize any measure of change that you need to make. Right? What is it that do I want to change from this situation? Why am I not letting people in? Why do I think that people feel like this about me? What has the past told me? And am I letting all of the things from the past dictate my now? Am I letting the fact that people didn't maybe made fun of me because I was whatever way, right? Maybe I was really shy and quiet, and people always picked on me and maybe treated me like I was not smart because they didn't hear me speak because I didn't have nothing to say to them, right? But now people have this assumption about who I am based on their one interaction with me, or based on how they interacted with me that made me feel some type of way. And now, based on that interaction, they're like, oh, she's nasty, has a nasty attitude, or she's this or she's that. But again, you have awareness of why you reacted that way. That person may or may not even care. All they notice is that you had an interaction with them and they didn't like it. Again, think about yourself. Do you, when you have an interaction that maybe doesn't go the way you would like it, are you like, wow, I wonder why that went that way? I wonder how that could have been handled differently. I wonder if they're going through something, because that doesn't like that. That was weird. I don't understand it. I wonder what I said. Did something I say, could I have said it differently? Did like, was it thoughtful? Was it caring? What, like, again, I'm not saying that all these things happen in the moment of a situation, but if we were trying to heal, there always should be some type of perspective after effect, right? What happened in this situation? Why did the situation go the way that it did? And the positive situations. Sometimes we'll talk about the negative, because those are the things that sometimes really stand out in our brain, but also the positive things. Wow, that situation was handled really well. That could have escalated and it went so different. Maybe it's, the tone, maybe it's the fact that I took a step back, and I, even though the person was acting in the way that made me feel uncomfortable, I still let them get their thing out, and then I addressed them such and such a way, right? So sometimes we also need to evaluate the positive interactions for how we want to conduct ourselves moving forward. So I really wanted to just briefly bring this up, because this has been something for me that I've been managing. Is one, why do I show up the ways that I do in certain circumstances, right? But also acknowledging that I'm aware that I do it. I'm aware others do it, but I'm not others. So I can only control me in the situation and how I show up in the situation, and be prayerful about the other situations, because I want to be a healed person, because I am making an intentional commitment. I didn't just start it last year to go through a whole year and to go through many days of pain and stress and crying and emotional, like all my emotions being dug up and a lot of my trauma being dug up and all that. So I didn't go through all that just for it to be a last year thing that was cool and cute, and people thought that it did whatever it was going to do in that time frame. No, I did this because God was like, well, I went to God and I was like, God, there has to be more for me, right? There has to be more than what I'm experiencing right now. And then all the things that happened throughout the year, all the disappointments, all the hurt, all the things being taken away, consistently being taken away, and me feeling diminished in so many of those situations, and me feeling like I got kicked in the stomach with every bit of strength that was to be had. Those are my real life experiences last year. I can't continue to let that kick in the stomach be the kick that just continues um, to put me in that space of feeling like second place, feeling like I'm not good enough, feeling like people don't get me, feeling like people don't give me a chance, feeling all the things that the devil will try to stir in your brain as your reality that are not your reality. So when you are in those situations where you feel like you are becoming different than you want to be, or when you're showing up differently than you choose to, or because you're feeling uncomfortable, or you're feeling like people don't value you, or you're feeling afraid, or you're feeling, I mean, whatever it is, unsafe in a situation, ask God to come in as you're feeling that thing. Don't let the thing fester. Don't let the conversation linger. Don't let the interaction just be the interaction and be done with it, and analyze it as it happened. Like, God, what's going on? I'm feeling this in this situation. And what I will also say is, if you feel safe with the person you're interacting with, then have the conversation with them. I'm not saying that they're always going to be ready. I'm not going to say they're always going to be receptive. And it is what it is, right? But the fact of the matter is, as long as you're doing all that you can to go to God with situations and, continue to better yourself, continue to check in on yourself, that's important. I can't stress how important that is, because without that, you get stunted. Your growth will not happen. If you're going to continue to do the same things, you're going to persist with the same behavior, then there's no manner of change that's made that way. There's no matter of healing, true healing, that can happen that way. People can talk about it. It sounds good, right? But at the end of the day, you have to actually be willing to do the work, which means you have to step back after you have a shortfall, after you have a moment, after you've cried, after you've left an interaction that made you feel some type of way or feel unsafe. And then you have to go to God and say, okay, what was that about? And that's if you don't know. Sometimes you're going to know, right? Sometimes you will absolutely know. But there are some times that you're like, okay, I don't even know what the world just happened there, and I need some insight. And those are the times where you have to go to God and ask him to really help you and direct you through what you're experiencing. All right. Well, hopefully that was helpful. It was me definitely talking through something that I've been managing this week, and I'm trying to, as I do my sipping teas, I'm really trying to be thoughtful about, this is what I'm experiencing this week. This is what I've maybe had a hard time with. This is something that I'm managing my way through, but it's me managing it. I can't be, I can't be in a space that I'm not being thoughtful about how things are impacting me, right? Because things do impact us all, right? We're all going through stuff. We have to look at ourselves and how we're showing up as things are impacting us, as things are making us, or challenging us to see ourselves differently, act differently, show up differently. But we shouldn't show up so differently in situations that we don't even notice ourselves. We can't even identify who we are, because the situation has taken more control of us than we are able to control ourselves. All righty. Well, I hope that you are having a fantastic weekend. I hope you're warm. Hopefully it stops snowing. You might be able to hear somebody with a snowblower outside right now, because it's been snowing all day. But please, please, please be safe. Have a great time. Snuggle in, have some tea yourselves. Let me know what kind of tea you guys are enjoying. And then also, if you have a tea that you like that I have not yet tried, please do send it to me. I'm really curious to try new teas. Remember, no herbal teas, but any tea that or tea brand that you really like, please let me know and I will purchase. Or if you want to bless me, you can do that too, y'all. You can do that too. All right. Thank you so much. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and extend to yourself first. And then to me, your girl, a measure of grace. I will see you next week for our year anniversary sipping tea with Stacy T. Bye, guys.